Good evening and welcome to Real Talk. I hope that, just like millions of South African women today, you were part of the brigade who kept today's dress code of wearing black and donning your best look in honor of Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Her life story reads like a Hollywood movie full of grand highs and low lows, but there's no denying that Winnie Madikizela Mandela's life experiences were extraordinary. But how do you honor a woman who's been globally acclaimed, received numerous awards and gifts? For Winnie Madikizela Mandela, it was a musical about her life that touched her heart, Winnie the Opera. For the team behind the opera, it was a story that needed to be told. They said, love her or hate her, but come and hear her.
It's the first time I get such accolades from my country. My wardrobe is full of doctorates I've stopped counting from all over the world. And this surpasses everything I have known. Thank you very much. But I wish once upon a time I was as small as this Winnie. Just come here next to me. Even as a child, I was never this size.
And lead actress Sakani Maswanganyi, who played Winnie Madikizela Mandela, sent us a video all the way from Italy, paying tribute to our heroine.
I feel honored to have had an opportunity to play Umama Winnie from Winnie the Opera. An honor to have had this window of opportunity to play the iconic Mother of the Nation when she joined us on stage after the first performance. An honor and memories that will forever live within me.
Speaking of musicals, raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens. These are a few of my favorite things. Listen, if you know the words or you sing along, then you know I'm speaking about the timeless musical, The Sound of Music. This Tony Award-winning piece is still one of the most successful musicals since 1949. It attracted a 70,000-strong audience in a 5-week season in Singapore 4 years ago. The production has returned last month due to popular demand. Here in studio with me is the lovely Carmen Pretorius, joined by Andre Schwartz to chat about their experience in this iconic musical and why. I have so many questions. Why is it still one of the most popular musicals to date? Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Thank you.
How was my...
It was magnificent.
It was astounding.
Really?
Was it understudy stuff?
No,
Don't
it was
push it.
lead.
Lead.
Carmen, she's
What?
not going to chase it off the show.
I
Let's be honest.
have to protect my job, but I also have to be honest.
When the dog bites.
When the bee stings.
When I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
Darling, you're a good talk show host.
You can't be everything, hey?
Guys,
That was lovely.
can I
though.
tell you, the first time I was ever introduced to the concept of a musical, watching it on theater, it was, you know, when you're in standard 5 and you go to a high school for an open day to see if you want to go to that high school, and that high school was putting on The Sound of Music. And I could not believe how it sucked me in. And then it made sense, because my mom kept on singing, I am 16, and I was just like, what is she singing, this woman? Meanwhile, I mean, if it made sense to her and it was coming into my generation, it's timeless. Carmen, I want to know, why is The Sound of Music it just refuses to go away?
I think, first of all, it's because it's a brilliant written piece. The music is beautifully written by Rodgers and Hammerstein. It's a beautiful book. So that's an iconic part of why it works.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, the themes of the musical are themes that we can all relate to. So
Romance.
love, romance, overcoming difficulty, running away from troubles, family, nature, music, and spirituality.
And also almost like the cross and you know, like the cross of economies, because not like Maria came from, you know, wealth,
Exactly.
and I find that the Von Trapp family was that. So it's almost a Cinderella story.
It is, but also it's what makes it so interesting as well is that it's a true story. But remember, it's true in part.
That's fine.
Yes.
You guys,
no,
they can lie all they want.
Yeah, Hollywoodified it.
Yeah. So Andre, what can you not leave out? Because it goes around the world to many territories, and you, in a way, you know, you keep it pure, but you also want to make sure that where you are, the local audiences feel it, like the fact that they would use, you know, our very own talent. But what can't you leave out when you're retelling a story that's been told since, what, 1949?
I think the essence of this, as Carmen mentioned, are all those human things, but then there's also, and I think that's very much the part of the captain, it's the underlying thing about, we must remember when it was written, that it was time, when it plays, it was the time when Hitler started making inroads, and that kind of political injustice that happened, and it was the captain's sense of morality that kept it there. And I mean, he garnered his kids, he took his wife, and instead of going with the flow with Hitler's people, he'd left. So I think that also is such a resounding thing in South Africa, in part of the storytelling.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that you can leave out in The Sound of Music, because it is on so many levels, from grandparents to children.
Yeah.
There's something that everybody can relate to. And I
also
think
because
that's great.
in the cast, every age is also very represented, right?
Exactly.
From the little kids to the teenager falling in love for the first time, to, you know, Maria being a problem that no one can solve, you know, to us thinking that the captain is a meanie, meanwhile, you know, there's a human being there.
Yeah, he's actually a big softie.
He is a big softie.
You see, it's almost like Beauty and the Beast, guys, I'm telling you, this is like, it's...
You're loving the Disney element of it,
Nah.
right? Yeah.
I
works.
like it.
It works.
Yes.
So when it comes to, because you guys rehearse a lot.
A lot.
You rehearse a lot. From the time you are cast and you're told that you are Maria,
Right.
you know, how soon do you get into it and get the clothes and the hair and all?
It depends. Let's say in this process I was cast, and I was cast first as Liesel, so I first played 16 going on 17. And then we went into rehearsals about 5 months later after we heard we were cast.
Oh,
but
wow.
then day one of rehearsals, you have 5 weeks, and it's 10 to 6, 6 days a week, and you're rehearsing. And then you only have 5 weeks, and then the show goes on. So it's crazy. It feels like you're never going to get it done, but you always do.
5 months wait.
Yeah, sometimes it's 3 months, sometimes it's 6 months. It depends on when they're auditioning.
And when you're in the space, and you say you're rehearsing from 10 until 6, Andre, do you fall asleep at night and the music is just just playing in your head?
It does in a way. I think with this specific show, what was more in my head was all the shifts that the captain has to go through.
Yes.
You know, 1 minute, as you said, you know, it's that kind of thing when I'm stroking the dogs, I'm thinking, oh, lovely, and I'm thinking, okay, I can use this with the kids and with Maria.
Yeah.
She's a bit like a puppy.
Oh,
and then at other times when you're
okay.
in traffic and you think, damn it, you know, you can think, okay, I'll do that to the Nazi.
Yeah.
You know, so it's those kind of elements and emotions that actually sits more than the songs. But there are certain songs like How Do You Solve a Problem Like Maria is a problem song that gets stuck in your head again and again. It's like the damn chicken song. But people love it.
Are you also suffering from a Maria problem there, the song?
From an earworm, a Maria earworm. Yes, I suppose every night I do have a song that goes home with me. So I'm driving in the car and I go, stop it now. Stop it. Because you don't want to go home and sing them again, you know. You just
You can't help it, then you're pouring your butt there, you know. and
I'm lying in bed.
Oh dear.
Yeah, those are the good songs that stick with you, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's as Andre said, it's fun to find truth, and that's why this is such a story that has worked for so many years, because we can all find truth in it. We have experiences like that today.
Yes.
You know, where you can find truth for your character. And that's what makes this production so beautiful, is that it has all the essence of the Sound of Music that it's always had, but it's contemporary.
Yes.
It works for kids of today, for adults of today, for the millennials and the naughties or whatever.
So when you say it's contemporary, so is there like a hip hop one where?
No.
No, not that far.
Not at all.
Reel it back, Anele.
But you know, that's what I like about this show, is that they haven't tried to bastardize it in any way.
Yeah.
They didn't try and contemporize it. They didn't try and put it in a South African domain.
Yeah.
And it is a play that has a piece of history of a family who lived at a certain moment and what happened in their lives.
Yes, and the way that it's become current is they've literally just made minute changes to set, costume, and tiny cuts in the original script.
Yeah.
Okay.
That just makes it flow.
All right, so the production of The Sound of the Music is one of the most successful musicals in 2014. The production was a box office smash hit in its first season and garnered a flood of rave reviews from the local media. You can send us your favorites. I know you're singing along. We know you are. Send them. We want to hear them. We're not going to judge you. I mean, you heard me. More to come after the break with Andre and Carmen. The story began in 1938 with the political and social upheavals that would soon trigger the Second World War. The romantic encounter between Maria and George von Trapp, the happy family times experience at the Villa Trap, along with the joy of making music, highlighted happy times during a difficult period. When the war broke out and the family had to flee Austria, people were fascinated in how the family remained so strong. Here is an idea of how far the story goes.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, adieu.
Adieu, adieu, to you and you and you.
So long, farewell, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.
I'd like to stay and taste my first champagne. Yes?
No.
Still in studio with us, Carmen and Andre, the leads in The Sound of Music. I know. You can't just say it. You have
No,
to
you
sing
can't.
it. You know, I was thinking, you said that there are minor changes to the set, right?
Right.
You know, modernize it a little bit. So there is a part, and I hope I'm talking about the right musical here, when you make clothes for the children out of curtains.
Yeah, bo.
So is it out of blinds now?
Remote control line.
No, it's a no. It's
no,
a no.
it's out
Okay.
of the most horrendous curtains.
Curtains.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's my children
That have to wear.
that have to wear it, and she's proud of that.
I'm very proud of them. They are. It is, I think, one of my favorite scenes actually in the show,
Really?
where this happens, where she asks the housekeeper if she can use the material in the curtains to make the clothes, because she comes from a poor family, so she doesn't want to waste.
Yeah, so you make do with
You
what
make
is
do.
there.
She's making a plan. They're getting rid of the curtains. Shap, shap, some clothes.
Andre, do you have a favorite scene? Because I like that you'll say that, because many people, you'll ask them, what's your favorite scene? They go, no, it's the entire thing. The entire thing is amazing.
No, that's impossible.
Right?
Yes, definitely. I think mine is when the captain is weird. I mean, his wife died. He doesn't know how to handle it. He shuts down all emotions towards his kids, everything, and he goes back to his military background. So everything's like this.
Yes.
And along comes this little one, and she teaches the kids to sing again. And she brings the kids in, and they sing to the captain. And when he hears them again, his heart just melts. And all those emotions for his wife and all the things he's blocked just become so real, and he feels this love for these children. And to me, it just does that. from my feet into my gut. It's a magnificently beautiful scene. And the kids, there's a little boy who sings with his back towards his dad, and it's the Kurt character. And when that kid starts singing, it's like an angel, you know.
It's like baby Jesus singing.
It's like really that. It's like, wow. And to me, that is just the moment in the show that gets me every time.
It's the small things that matter, I think, and that's what The Sound of Music reminds us all. It's not about money or power or anything, you know? Yeah. And that's beautiful.
So when you are this attached, and I love this, and I hope that, you know, people who are watching can see the emotion that you guys have just speaking about it. Imagine when they're on stage. So when you're this attached to something, how bad can a bad review hit you? You know, when you thought, I got it, and then, you know, some random page 19 corner, you know, says, nah, that's not it.
You know, reviews don't make shows. I played The Phantom years ago, and there was one crit who kept on writing the worst things he could. But still, every night, you go for your curtain call as Carmen goes, and the people are on their feet.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what anybody writes.
Yeah.
It's who sits there. And as long as that doesn't prevent people from going to the show.
Yes.
But the people are there, and they are the crits.
Not some... It almost helps, because if somebody writes something bad about Carmen, I'm be like, hey, let me go see what is so bad about this Carmen.
Yes, exactly.
And then you sit there yourself, and you feel like,
You hope that people will come and see for themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we try and actually avoid reading reviews as actors. We always say, don't read them, because as Andre said, what matters is that the people are enjoying the production at the end of the day and buying tickets and getting the story. And a review can really hurt you. It can really hurt you.
Trust me.
I'm sure you
Radio
know
and
this.
TV.
Yes, exactly.
Like, we're out here ducking all the time.
So you must try and avoid it, I think, because it does affect your mentality when you go on stage, if you have that negative baggage.
But what's your crit process like for yourself now?
Oh, it's hectic. Yeah, I have ask Andre, I have a notebook that I come on stage with every night, and it sits on my chair, and I write notes to myself, or I'll write like things that I didn't feel I did well, or that I want to do better, and I go back to the director's notes for me, and I'm very militarized in that way. I'm very type A in that way.
In that notebook, you know you're serious about critiquing yourself when you write your name, you're like Carmen?
Carmen, I'm so tired of you getting this one move wrong. Seriously, tomorrow's your last chance. I write that, and then I tick it off when it's done. Oh no, I don't write Carmen. I'm just joking.
Okay.
I'm also going to get that. No, when I'm also asked Carmen, I'm also very A-type in terms of, you know what? It is you. Besides what you do for yourself and being true to that character, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to your producer, you have a responsibility to the original writers, to the rest of the cast, and to the audience. And it's far bigger than what you are. And I have, you know, with all the kids in the cast, and when something goes wrong, I run to my dressing room and swear loudly, and then I come out again. So it's the bigger picture is simply that. You know, all those responsibilities, and in the end, you know what, you are this little tiny bit, and you have to get it right.
And the kids are watching us, you know, there are 18 kids in the show, they rotate 3 groups of 7, 6, 3 groups of 6, maths, and they're watching us, they're being inspired by us, you know, we've got to set good examples for them, so and that's important. Amazing. And they're incredible.
I was about to ask, what are you learning from them? Because, you know, the narrative is they're looking at you and they're learning from you, but surely there's something that you're learning from them as well.
Of course. I'm inspired by their hunger and their love for simply what it is that we do. No politics, no nonsense. They are just in the moment. Everything is exciting. Everything is valuable. I'm inspired by their unending energy. They're always, let's go. I'm inspired by the way that they conduct themselves. They are consummate professionals. Yeah.
You know, they're gorgeous. What I love is when they get something wrong on stage and just... And they're so good at handling it. You know, it's just that beauty of, oops, okay, let me go on with the next moment. Well, that happened. And you know what, and that's what it should be. And because there's something that happens on stage, and which is such a bad thing if you have our personalities. You've done something wrong, and I think you have the same personality.
Beat yourself up for the next
You go and you start editing that second go, and you edit, and you don't think forward. We kids don't.
Yeah.
It's gone wrong, and they okay, let's carry on.
They're resilient, hey?
Which is wonderful, exactly.
Guys, Andre and Carmen, thank you so much for giving me your time. I know you guys, you know, if you're not on stage, you're resting, so this means the world to us. Go and see The Sound of Music, okay? It's at Monte Casino. It's at the Teatro, ne?
Yes, yes.
At the Teatro. You need to book, okay?
Yeah.
Because if you don't book, you're not going to get in. You'll just hear the music from the outside there. The good news is that you can also get to watch it, this globally acclaimed musical. All you have to do is send us a WhatsApp voice note. We're going to send you there. Just name 3 characters in the cast and you could win yourself the tickets. After the break, somebody who's celebrating 45 years spent enriching the arts. We catch up with the jazz maestro and producer, Donald Bradoni Don Laka. Come back. That is the voice of Yvonne Chaka Chaka that you just heard. It was in the height of apartheid when Chico Twala composed the song for her in code. Coded as it was, the song I'm Winning, My Dear Love was no less defiant, a tribute to Winnie Madikizela Mandela, creatively altered to shake the shackles of censorship off. Joining me right now is veteran musician who was also affected by the apartheid laws, denied the right to study music at the University of Pretoria, but that did not stop him from his passion. He taught himself to play the guitar and other instruments such as the bass, the piano, drums, harmonica, and the saxophone. Now, Don Laka is regarded as the father of music, having worked with many successful musicians such as Jabu Khanyile, Sibongile Khumalo, Hugh Masekela, Brothers of Peace, Boom Shaka, and founding groups such as Bongo Muffin. Self-proclaimed king of Kwai Jazz, Don Laka joins us right now. We thank you for your time. Huh? If I sit here long enough, will your talent rub off on me?
Yes.
Really? Just touch my blood. Touch my blood. So listen, before we do anything.
Yes.
We have you to thank for getting the show.
Thank you.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. So, you were the main maverick when it came to the 90-10 rule, right? Yes. The play 90% local and 10% other, right? Yes. And you were initially pushing it for radio as a whole, and it filtered onto TV with the SABC when they took that on. Yes. So when they granted it and they said, okay, fine, from now on we're going 90-10, we got the show.
That's a good one.
Right? Huh?
That's a good one.
So you can just be like, this is all me. This is all me. Himlo, 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 himlo. So thank you for that. I want to go back to the beginning when your mom says, get a piano, and you say, guys, I can't be lugging a piano around. Let me go for a guitar. Take me to the beginning of your love for music.
You know, I've always loved music because I grew up in a family that loved music. My uncles played instruments, and I used to always listen to them play, and I just wanted to play. You know, it was not the love of playing music back then when we were growing up. It was not to appear on TV because there was no TV access. I just wanted to make music. And I just enjoyed making because I used to see them making, you know, it was like magical. You see this person touching an instrument and there's notes coming out and stuff that you like. So I grew up in that. And my mother, well, I remember, took me to a music store. I think she had a little bonus by then. And that December. And she, you know, I knew what I wanted. But she, in her mind, thought I would choose a piano, which I didn't like because of one thing. It was too heavy, too big. And it was furniture. I thought maybe she was buying it for the furniture, to look, the house to look nice. But eventually, obviously, I chose a guitar. And I still have that guitar, which was bought for me in the late 60s. And I still have it, and I cherish it. It is a very important guitar to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, and 72, I made my first recording where I met the guys like, you know, Ray Peary.
Yes.
You know, I was a student then. And, you know, it was incredible. I mean, it's been an incredible long journey that I appreciate. And, you know, looking back, you know, the 45 years of being in the music industry, which was obviously sparked by my mother's, you know.
So you never had to explain yourself to your mother? Because I find a lot of kids who are in arts and they want to be in arts and they want to pursue this, there's a lot of, most of the energy is spent explaining yourself to your parents.
Absolutely, yes. I didn't have to my mother.
That's
and
a
I, you know, as I say, I was very fortunate to have come up from a father being a bishop, and you know, who, you know, obviously sang in church and preaching and stuff every Sunday. But you know, there was never a moment where I was told, no, you cannot have that. You know, I was left to do what I wanted, and then I think I need to give credit to my parents for that.
So when it comes to, you know, being a, because you're a composer, right?
Yes, yes.
At length, this is what you are, you're a composer. You know, on the outside, to us, it looks like you must just master how to play a piano, you know, how to play the instruments and how to make it all come together. But I suspect that the one thing you must master the most is how the music comes to you.
Absolutely.
You know, where it finds you, what state of mind you must be in when it finds you. Can you let us into that sacred space? You know, how did you master how the music finds you and ultimately stays?
It is one of the, you know, you cannot really. It is, but for me, I know where I draw inspiration, but you cannot explain when it starts flowing. What I can explain is that, for instance, my first album, Destiny, was composed 10 years before it was released. And Supernova was because of when I was actually reading books on the stars. I was getting out of the studio and I saw the 3 stars that day. I didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
So I went to start reading and to find out what are the stars doing, and they appeared at a certain period, and that's when my love of astrology, you know, astronomy came, and you know, I started learning about these things, you know, cosmology, and I was inspired to write that. After reading material, you know, so
you take things around you, because I know there's a story with your niece was playing with the mop outside and it was wet, and then you said to her, hey, Wena, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm washing the water.
Yes, that's on the new album.
Yes.
So the title of the text called Washing the Water.
Yes.
So I draw inspiration from things that I hear, things that I read, and I like to travel. And I'm fortunate that you know, always when I'm in a stress mode and not feeling well, and my wife drags me on holiday, I know, you know, over a weekend I go through 2-3 new books.
Wow.
And you know, that's what I do actually, and I love that because it inspires me a lot. You know, I'm celebrating 60 years this year. Yes. And working on one inspiration, you know, that will bring the whole thing together.
Yeah.
For me, yes.
So, 10 years, you know, Destiny's done, and then you only release it, you know, later. 10 years later. Something must happen to you, though. Is it the goosebumps? You know, do your ears, you know, stand up? You know, do your nostrils flare up when you feel that something is complete? When you're like, okay, fine, I'm now ready to give it to the world. What happens to your body, to your mind? Does your eye twitch? Like,
you know, with me, it's as a composer, it's a different. You know, as a composer with so much music in me, I've learned to let go. You know, when something is done and it's complete, and I let it go. And that's how I've been. I'm not the type of person who'd sit and then say, oh, it's not perfect yet. And how will you know it's perfect if you don't get the criticism?
Yeah.
You know, I always thrive on criticism. When people criticize me, then I know. And they say, listen to those who hate you. They will criticize even a little, tiny little thing. And when you perfect that one, you're whole.
Well, You know, we thought we were just going to have a chat with the man. We weren't anticipating on getting a master class. So he met up with local club DJs Oskido and Christos to form one of Africa's independent record labels that has produced multiple gold status accolades, as well as well-known musicians such as Bongo Muffin, Boom Shaka. It's about time because of him. Mafikizolo is also in that group. But in 2013, he was dealt a huge blow when he was diagnosed with cancer. But that never stopped him from doing what he loves. Hence, he's here today. It gets more real after this. You're watching Real Talk. With us this evening is multi-award-winning producer and jazz musician. In 2013, he received a Grammy nomination for the Best World Music for Hugh Masekela's Jabulani album. He's also received the South African Music Award Lifetime Achievement Award. Don Laka is one of the first people that played Kwaito and merging trends in pop culture. While for many musicians, a Lifetime Achievement Award means retired, right? Why did Don Laka decide to release an album after this award when he thought it did not make sense? So you get this Lifetime Achievement Award. Do you feel like people are saying, okay, yes, good right, yes, I'm retire?
I think I read it wrongly, so that's why for me it was the beginning.
Yes.
After that.
So it's like, yes, okay, you've done with this life.
Absolutely. For me, it's like the beginning now. They say, okay, we recognize you're there, and when I say, well, I'll still be there, and it's the new beginning for me.
Which awards mean the most to you, right? The ones where you win it for yourself, right? Or the ones where you win it for someone else, you know, for Hugh Masekela, for work that, or for Sibongile Khumalo, or for Ubabu Rapier. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes. You can win many awards for yourself, then you're a great musician. But I think you're an artist when you can help others win awards.
For me, it's the awards that others receive that I've worked with.
Yeah.
Those are the most precious ones because I sit there and say, that is my work. You know, the ones that I win, they don't really mean much. I've always not really accepted most of them, by the way. But I've always cherished the one that the others get through my work. Yes.
So, do you remember this little jingle? Remember my name, Shell Road to Fame. Yeah. You were a judge on Shell Road to Fame.
A judge on Shell Road to Fame.
And that's where you spotted Thandi Soma's wife, King Ta.
Yes. That was an amazing, you know, competition because she walked on stage with no instruments while everyone was being backed. And I saw she sang, I still remember, I think, I love you, Porgy, don't let it. And I said, wow.
Who that? Who that?
Who that?
Who that?
So you know, it came, then I was like really hooked. And I said, I took a number. And, you know, that's how, you know, she got signed to Kalawa.
Okay, I mean, this is one of many stories of you spotting talent, right? Because Thandi didn't win.
No, she didn't win. She actually came last.
Yeah, Ibonak.
Yes.
So now you take Unamba Mqutsu, the one right at the end, and yet to date she's the most successful, you know, I would call it. Yes. I always, when I think of Thandi, I remember a picture of her sitting on this side of her, Nelson Mandela, this side of her, Michael Jackson. I'm like, come on, guys. These are the two of the most famous people to ever live in the world. Yep. And you put that balloon in the middle there. So this is your doing. I mean, you gave us the show. Look at you. What do you look for when you're spotting talent?
I think I look for something that's unusual, that other people are not seeing or not hearing. For me, that is special. I mean, if you know, if somebody would come across a person like Ray Charles, you wouldn't sign him. He didn't have a voice of, you know, but because he was special and he was different. That's what I look for.
There was something rough there.
Absolutely.
That was,
That's unique. You cannot imitate that. Yeah.
So to date, because you're quite fluid, you have a song with Empty,
Yes.
You're quite fluid. You fit in everywhere, and when you get in there, it's like you were always there.
Yes.
What would you say is your trick to being fluid? The fact that you can exist in any musical room and not feel like you're visiting?
I've never regarded music as a compartmental thing. For music has been music that people should enjoy. And there has never been music for the old, the young, and the ones that will be coming.
Yeah.
For me, it is music is a vibration that should mean something to people at different stages and at different times.
So he says that Empty, right, reminds him of Marvin Gaye, and this is why they did the song together. I have to play the song, because you probably don't believe me, like, don't like a Empty. Kanjan.
Team ballin', look at the phone and the X keep calling, Rex keep falling, yes we own it. I got the sauce and the OG solid. Yeah, I handle the pressure, put the game in the stretcher. I'm a finesser, young go-getter, couple trophies in the bag. I'm a mingle with the dad, got my homies in the bag. You my people at the shack. Yeah, manje spale uzo dani, mama spani, pandi pali, jingani islami, bari when I'm pulling usa spani, hades bali asamu
Yeah. Those voices are amazing. For me, only Marvin Gaye does that. Only.
Marvin Gaye does what?
The voices that you just heard on those chorus. Only Marvin Gaye. He sings voices that are not harmonically structured in a way that we sit there and say, you sing that, you sing that.
Yeah.
And he was hearing that, and I didn't have to tell him. He was doing it, and when I left him and he went on and on and on, I said, this is something. Only Marvin Gaye does this.
But Empty he's in there, he's new. If he carries on the way he carries on, he can be called a legend one day. But
yes.
How do you get rid of people being intimidated by you in a space like that?
I think I make them relax first. Before we started recording, for instance, not only him, I remember Kelly also, we sat for hours. For hours.
Just talking.
Yeah, just talking. And because I've got such stories to tell, just to relax them, tell them about, music and, a lot of things that has happened on my tours and all this. So they haven't had stuff like that, they just walk in now in the music industry. And it relaxes them. Yeah. And, once they're relaxed, that's when I start.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick ad break. Speaking of stories then, I want you to have a quick think, go into that library in your head, and think of a time when you were the most nervous. That's what I want to know. When was Don Laka, Jazzy, King Don Jazz, King Kwaito Jazz, King everything? When was he nervous, right? I mean, this man fuses jazz with almost everything. There's hip-hop, there's bakanga. The latest project he's working on is a combination of 90 years in music. This is all him. More with him on the other side of the break. Don Laka is celebrating 45 years in the music industry, and in doing so, he has recorded his first studio album in 7 years called Reflections. The Super Bakanga group, the Soul Brothers, who are also celebrating the golden 4 decades in the industry, making it the first time Kwai Jazz and Bakanga will be brought to an audience on stage by these powerful artists. So I want to know about these nerves, because you look like still water, nothing shakes you, right? When was the last time you can remember being at your most nervous? No,
I don't really get nervous. I mean, my first audition that time in 1972, I walked in a room full of musicians I didn't know, and they said, "Here's a guitar, play." And I was happy to play that guitar. It was my first time I touched electric guitar. And I was happy to play in front of Ray Peary and the rest of the guys. And so I've never been really nervous on anything. It's just that you get those nerves when you go on stage, which are really good for the adrenaline. You want those. And I always panic if I don't get those little, the adrenaline pump, you know.
So you once said that legacy is not something you decide on.
Yes.
Other people will decide what your legacy is.
Absolutely.
At 60 years, I think you are aware of whispers about you. What do you think we are headed towards saying about your legacy?
You know what? Brahu said something which is important. He says, I'm going to sit here and defend my legacy. And I feel the same way. I shouldn't be guiding people
towards what
they should think about my legacy. It is what I do that should guide them towards my legacy. And I as I say, you know, I still feel I've got so much to give out there. And the people will judge and say, he has really left a great legacy. Mama, we knew we don't have to think twice about it. Her legacy will live on. And that's why I think we all want our legacies to live on. But we don't decide. You know, you don't say, I want my legacy to be this, that, on this and that. No, you leave it to the people to decide.
I think that's a very powerful thing because we're so obsessed with that word, right? Because legacy also is derived from legend, right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, when people are like, no, I want to be a legend. Oh, God, we'll tell you. Oh, man.
Absolutely.
We'll tell you if you're a legend or not.
True, yes.
And I'm so glad you touched on Umama Winnie.
Yes.
Do you not think that and when I say we, I'm being collective, like I know how to sing or compose, I don't. But do you not think that we didn't have enough music about her, dedicated to her?
We didn't have, and we still don't have. And I think it's one person that we as artists really look. I think that the fear of being at that time, that's why you had coded words and stuff.
Yeah.
I think now with this freedom and with her passing now, I think that's where we should draw strength. And, you know, and her teachings and what she hoped for and what her wishes were. I think now it gives us much more room now to really say, this person fought for all of us. And she was out there in the forefront when other people were hiding behind their beds, you know, houses and everywhere, and she was out there.
So are your fingers trickling with the tribute?
Absolutely.
Is there something going to happen for Mama Winnie?
I'm going there from here.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Soul Brothers, their music is 4 decades old. Yours is 45 years old. Collectively, it's 90 years, right?
Yes.
And it's amalgamated, and the product is Reflections. And this is what we'll celebrate tomorrow at the Soweto Theatre.
Yes.
This is what we'll celebrate on the 26th of April at the State Theatre.
Yes.
Tell me about that. I mean, Moses is the last surviving member of the Soul Brothers, and naturally there's legacy that you need to combine with. What's that experience been like?
It was a great moment when he agreed. Because I spoke to Moses about 30 years ago about doing these things together. Because when I first...
30 years ago?
30 years ago, when he released his first album called, a solo album called Crocodile.
That's like, you know, in Joburg when people say we should do lunch and then we never do lunch.
That's the thing.
That's what you guys did, and then 30 years later you get it right.
And I said to him, I said, Moses, I mean, I knew he was turning 60 there also, and we were saying, as I said, you know, we're all getting 60 this year. And why don't we do this? He said, let's do it. That's how it was decided, and we got started. Now, I'm so excited and thrilled that, you know, at the launch of the tour, we started working together on stage, and it's just magical mixing quiet jazz and Mbakanga in you know, in just like one explosive thing, you know, yeah.
All right, so, you know, people are watching you, people are dying to get into the industry. You know, you feel like, oh, how do I get in? Does this have all the wisdom that I need to know about you? This book here?
It has. It's a 30-year also research of African history. This is about us, Africans. It is written by an African, and it talks about African history.
For Africans?
For Africans.
Okay. So if I want to pick this brain further, I go in there.
you will know more about you that you haven't heard about you.
About me.
Yes, as an African.
Beautiful.
I mean, let me give you one clue. Many Africans don't know that Africans or Africa ruled Europe for 800 years.
I need to know that.
So,
because I need those diamonds back.
So, you know, it is that. This is that research, and we'll be launching the book also next week. Okay. So it's one of the most important things that in my life that I've been preoccupied with besides music.
Look, we're looking forward to your second life. You know, after the Lifetime Achievement Award, you said you started from the beginning. I think this is going to be wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Braton.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, man. Thank you to all our guests today. I'm pretty sure you were also quite blown away. Carmen Pretorius, Arnold Schwartz, as well as Braton Laka. It's been a day of honoring musical greats and sharing in historical moments that defined the late Mamwini Madikizela Mandela. Her memorial will be held next week, Wednesday, in Orlando, and the funeral on the Saturday. Also, a lot of you had a mountain of questions when we brought you our first installment of the ins and outs of property stokvels. So next week, we've heard your call, okay? On Monday, we take a further, deeper look at stokvels. Make sure you don't miss out on that. Enjoy your weekend. Remember, go and watch Five Fingers for Marseille, right? Local movie, it's out today. We spoke to them this week. It's brilliant. Go out and support them. We need bums and seats. From the rest of the team, good night.